Foot Clan, welcome to August. We are 5 days a week for the show. Drafts are right around the corner, and if you want to dominate your draft, get the Ultimate Draft Kit. Come on this ride with us. Be an Ultimate Foot Clan member. You can get every tool and resource that you need to win your draft at ultimatedraftkit.com.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Oh, welcome in. Oh, baby. Welcome to August. The Fantasy Footballers are here. Jason Moore, Mike, the Fantasy Hitman Wright. I'm Andy Holloway. And it's go time.
Yes,
My kids, they're in school now.
That's right. Get out of my life.
You get rid of the kids, you bring the football in.
Get out of my life. It
What?
is.
Hey,
No, I mean, that's.
Dad's got drafts.
Dad's got drafts. Welcome to August. Welcome back to the show. Monday, August 3rd, 5 days a week from here through the end of the season. We are thrilled to have you with us. We've got big announcements, we've got news, and we've got ice and fire on the show today. So we're kicking off August the right way. I'm already salivating in anticipation for the drop. And we are thrilled to have the Foot Clan back with us for another season of hopeful domination. This is the fun time of year. You build that draft strategy. You get ready to rumble. The draft kit, as Jason said at the top, it's available at ultimatedraftkit.com. It is better than ever. New features every year, including a mock draft tool this year. And so excited to have you with us. If you want to help the show out, if you've been with us a long time, there are a couple quick things you can do completely free that just help the podcast in the month of August, which is a big month. Subscribe to the show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Click that subscribe button. If you are a subscriber but you haven't been back to the show in a little while, Apple's like doing this new thing where they just turn off your automatic downloads.
Yeah.
And so if you're back in business, click that button that says turn on automatic download so you have
Do it.
the new
What?
Do it now.
Don't let
so you have the new episodes.
don't let this big business corporation try and tell you what you
Yeah.
want to listen to.
Yeah, if you wanted downloads at one point in time and now they're saying you don't want them,
They don't know you.
tell them what to do, Jay.
Do it.
Oh man.
Are you doing? Is that the LaBeouf?
I don't think it is. I think that's
it's
like
a new thing.
that's
man.
a new thing. That's,
I'm my own thing.
and then we have a big announcement. And I hope you're listening because this will be your only chance to listen to this announcement. The Listener League for 2026, the entries, you can send them in right now, 1 week only. This is the one time we announce it. We never talk about it again. Listener League at fantasyfootballers.com.
But Andy,
Yes, voice of public opinion.
what does that mean? What do
That-
I submit?
You are submitting your entry. It could be a video. It could be anything that you want to get our attention.
It can't be anything you want.
It can be
It
anything.
can be.
Oh,
you
yeah,
can
yeah, okay.
send anything you want.
That's
You're not.
okay.
We know
I
from
take it
years
back.
past that they have taken that literally, and that's okay.
Well, I'm saying if you send a wall of text.
We don't read well.
That's yeah. Do you know how long it takes to read?
Yeah, we don't reads a lot. But if you want to send us something to catch our eye, we will review the Listener League submissions. We will pick a number of lucky individuals to join us in the 2026 Listener League.
Show us the personality, because the Listener League is not the oh, I'm so good at fantasy football. I'll beat you guys, I promise. We want a league that has fun people with fun interaction throughout the year. Yes, you're good at fantasy football. We know.
We know. You listen.
Yeah, you're listening to the show. But the Listener League is always about good vibes and good people.
Yeah, I mean, this is where we met Brooks. This is where
Yep.
we met the freaking
the
biggest
loser.
loser. What an idiot that guy is. But we met, close people now that we obviously love and adore through the Listener League. It's a great time. It's a great league. Come play with us or try to.
So I will say it one more time, Listener League at fantasyfootballers.com. That is where you send your Listener League entries. If you send them to our support people, they will delete your email. If you send me a DM and you say, hey, has anybody looked at it yet? I promise every single one of them gets looked at. That's one of the cool things is our team, we review them, we see every entry, and we will respond to every person in time. But it takes a while. So there you go. We'd love to play with you. Let's talk some news.
News and notes from around the league.
Don't you feel the energy, Mike? Don't you feel the energy right now?
I do, man. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Do it.
Ricky Pearsall.
Man,
There's the energy out of the building. Oh man. Oh, is that the electrical substation? Oh no.
It's getting everybody.
Yes. And no. Ricky Pearsall placed on season-ending IR.
It's coming for you,
Mike Evans.
Electro.
PCL reconstruction surgery for Ricky Pearsall.
Dude, big time bummer. Pearsall, if you want to buy in anything to the substation, Pearsall was not an injury guy in college. He goes to San Francisco, immediately an injury guy.
And
well, to be fair,
shot guy.
at first he got shot.
Yes,
that's
that is fair.
That wasn't the substation, was it?
We will never know.
It's a bad neighborhood around,
Listen,
substations.
every player in the NFL has a story, and unfortunately the story of Ricky Pearsall is one of injury now. That's the story for him. Whether he comes back from it.
It's a bummer, man.
I mean,
this is a tough one to come back from. Like I know you see a lot of ACL injuries, and a PCL reconstruction is worse, and so he's already lost the beginning of his career. Basically, now he's got to. The team is going to move forward.
Yes.
They just have to.
Yes.
And then he's got to come back and somehow earn his way back on. I hope he can. I hope he does someday. But it's an uphill battle from here.
One of the best ways to come back and be relevant at some point is when you have Mike Evans and Deebo Samuel on your roster who are older and may move on at some point. But Deebo Samuel was also added to the roster, 1-year deal.
Ricky's turning 26 real soon.
Gosh.
Wow. So he will be 27 and like
dynasty manager.
The team
shed a tear.
San Francisco has to do something.
Would you trade him away for a third?
Look how sad the
in
Falcon
dynasty.
is.
Yeah.
Look how sad the Falcon is.
No, I would not.
He's so sad.
Oh, the Niners fan.
DeJon Stribling also held out of practice. That would be the 49ers up-and-coming wide receiver hamstring.
They should hold him out of the rest of all the practices. All players practice off. They can't get injured if they're not practicing.
I mean, this is not the only injury. I mean, they have like a handful already. Their rookie defensive end. Not to bypass it, Deebo Samuel was signed to a 1-year deal. Everything the team is saying that this was going to be something that happened regardless of the Pearsall situation. He said they're going to use him in kick returns, punt returns, all over the field. Deebo, if he's going to be successful again, this is a good place to try to do that where they know his strengths and weaknesses. They can use him in the offense, and there's a need because everybody's hurt all the time.
Yeah, I think this is a good landing spot for him, and it's good for the Niners. I don't know that it's very fantasy relevant. I expect at this point he's going to be used a lot, close to the line of scrimmage, special teams, that type of stuff. TBD, but obviously I like Mike Evans. I'm very in on Mike Evans, but
you're holding your breath.
I'm holding my breath
because of electrical substation.
Yeah, I mean, that hamstring is like beef jerky at this point, and, it's just one wrong cut, and all of a sudden, Deebo's more needed.
I think I initially have Deebo ranked right now at wide receiver 44, which is probably higher than Mike has him, probably higher than you have him, but that's not super relevant. Chris Olave, baby.
Oh, get that money.
We got that drop for Chris Olave. This is the opposite of the Ricky Pearsall story. This is an injury-plagued,
we like this one.
Terrifying future situation that has turned into a 4-year, $132 million extension for Chris Olave. $90 million guaranteed. That's how the team feels about the injury risk.
Yeah, they are bullish on Olave. I've always loved. I mean, we've always loved Olave since he came out, and
we just became scared.
Yeah, I mean, you look like you are one head injury away from the career being over, but they are invested. They believe in him. He was awesome last year. I had someone be like, "Well, when's he played a full season?" Last year, he week 18, he took off, as all players should and all fantasy managers should. Yeah, I know it was.
He didn't take it off.
Well,
he had a blood
he sure
clot.
did. He took it off for
Okay.
a blood clot.
Okay,
Mike, I
do
think
we
that
accept
What
that?
are you doing?
I'm saying that he played
He didn't
without
take it off.
injury. He didn't get injured. His soft tissue issues, his
He did get
concussion.
injured. He had a blood clot.
Would you call that an injury?
Yes.
For real?
Yeah.
Yes. Not a football related injury.
Yeah, just an injury.
I guess I wouldn't call that an injury. I see Al shaking his head. No, he wouldn't call that an injury.
That's just a medical condition.
Yeah. Like, would you call diabetes an injury if you had to, like, you
That's
had
a
low
fair
blood
point.
sugar or something and you're like, I can't play? I don't know.
No,
Regardless.
that's a fair point.
Regardless. For a medical
But I wouldn't
reason.
call it
He didn't
taking
take
the
it
day
off.
off.
Okay.
Yeah,
Or that's a fair
Okay, I
counter.
counterpoint.
Okay.
If someone's like, I can't go to work today because I'm having severe issues with my diabetes,
Yeah.
would you say, oh, you're taking the day off?
Yes. Okay.
Out with illness.
The point here for the fact that they are all in on Olave, they paid the money because he had such a successful season, and really his career when he's been on the field has been awesome. Jordan Tyson, also very healthy. We had all the hamstring issues coming in at the draft and even early camps. It was like, is he going to be these two guys? I know you're in on Tyler Shuck, Mike.
Oh, yes.
These two guys, I'm starting to realize
very much.
they are already, I believe, today a top 5 tandem in the NFL.
Come on.
No, for real.
Top 5's crazy.
No, I don't
Top
think it
five's
goes
crazy.
So you got Jamar and T.
Yeah,
Higgins,
so Cowboys and Bengals are
Cowboys,
top
Lamb,
two.
and Pickens. Lamb and Pickens, they're done. I think Puka and Devontae Adams, they're above
Okay.
them. I think Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams, they're above them. That's where, okay, now you go, the fifth is where they could go. Jefferson and Addison, okay, sure. Maybe you put them
You
ahead.
can't give Tyson that level of respect without a snap
Sure
in the
can.
on the field.
Sure
think
can.
I mean, you can, and I think it's deserved. I think he is an absolute maniacal stud. I don't even know if he's
That's new.
better than Olave.
That's new.
It's August. You got to bring out the
Jordan
new stuff.
Tyson is there. I mean, then you're going, Waddle, Sutton.
Look, Andy can have him outside the top 5 while we
Yeah.
are here, and then he's going to have to scramble to catch up, but it will be too late.
Yeah, I think that they are there. They are at that tier of in that 5th tier. Personally,
Okay. That's why we have the show. Tucker Kraft, activated from the PUP list. Realistic, he'll take part in joint practices. So
he's
I
running
mean,
very well when it's straight.
it's awesome that Tucker Kraft is in the practice consideration right now after the injury. Chris Brazell, season-ending IR.
Yeah.
That's a bummer. Kyle Monangai returned to practice after missing 3 practices. It was a soft tissue issue. Xavier Worthy avoided a serious shoulder injury. He had been carted off. And rookie wide receiver who was making waves, Cyrus Allen, he was carted off, but it's a shin bruise, and he had been making plays.
What a wild Twitter roller coaster that was. If you were on the football Twitters, Cyrus Allen was almost Offensive Player of the Year in 2026. He was pretty much the most important player in all of football projected for a day or two. Then it was carted off. His career's over, and it was a shin bruise. So TBD.
Man, the Chiefs every year, the Chiefs always have a guy where you're like, holy crap, this really late drafted player is about to come into the NFL and set it on fire.
I mean, I'll say this, that like Rashee Rice running downfield looked awful. His knee is not ready. And I know you said maybe he's warming up. That's not a warm-up run. That was a full-on run.
That's what
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
It was a full. I agree.
I mean,
it was a full run.
It was what he's at right now.
I will say this: we are still months away from the season, and you would expect him coming off of this injury to not be at 100% right now, but he was clearly not at 100%.
And the reason that the Chiefs have somebody every offseason is because it's been a long time since Tyreek Hill existed. And we are trying to find somebody to believe in each and every offseason, whether it's Jalen Royals for an offseason.
Sky Moore.
I mean, we know that Mahomes could supply somebody with a lot of fantasy value.
And I
But the
still
odds
think
of it being Cyrus Allen are not high. And,
No,
and it's
Cyrus Allen is just a great name to know for dynasty leagues. I assume by this point in time he's been picked up in all dynasty leagues, but there's some out there that maybe he's sitting on the waivers and you should scoop him up immediately.
and to the Rashee Rice point, it's just that he is recovering from an actual injury.
Absolutely.
There was a ton of offseason, off the field issues and jail time and things of that nature. But you also want to know that this player is back at full strength and going to be a focal point of the offense. he's a really tough player because I don't think Rashee Rice, and we've said this before, I think you guys agree, in a different offense, in a different environment, he's not the fantasy player that he is in Kansas
100%.
City. They use him around the goal line on touch passes and end-arounds and screens and short area targets, and he scores a lot of touchdowns, and he's a go-to guy in this offense. There are question marks around his effectiveness because of injury, because of Kelce's effectiveness, who I think draws interior coverage. If he's not as good, does Rice get as much work or have as much success? Probably because of Patrick Mahomes. But they're still – this is a limited player. This is not a player that's running, 25-yard digs. And I mean, maybe that's in his repertoire, but we haven't seen it. He's been a closer to the line of scrimmage catch and run guy.
Which the funniest,
and the running part is the part I'm worried about.
The funniest part of the funniest thing I saw said about that was, well, he doesn't get passes that far down the field anyways. So what are you worried about?
Yeah,
with
true.
the run?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
He's like that's not his ADOT
no, it
over
isn't.
there.
It isn't. So unless we have any other news, unless the 49ers in the substation have attacked again,
I'll let you know. We'll break in.
we're going to go ahead and take a break and get into Ice and Fire. Are we ready for this?
Do 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 do.
Ice and Fire.
Well, this is always a very fun segment. It's one of my favorites. We've done this for live shows before, but we each have picked an Ice and Fire player to talk about for the upcoming season. I'm going to come clean right at the top of this segment.
Okay.
Today's going to be a hard day for me
Okay.
because I know the names that are coming up.
You don't necessarily love them.
I'm not in agreement with a couple of them, and it's going to be really tough for me.
Well, that's great. I mean, we shouldn't always be in agreement, but it gives us a chance to sway you.
Yeah, no,
You're who we're talking
let
to.
me put it this way. I am all ears. I would like to know where my brain is diverging from your brain, and I'm excited to hear it. We're going to start off with it's a perfect segue. We just talked about this team. I want to talk about Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is
You want to talk about screenshots? If you're talking about the Rashee Rice route,
you're talking about dad bod?
That's the Travis Kelce photo. It's not flattering.
You know what?
Real. I don't know.
See, that's the problem.
I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Now I feel
and
like
angles of everything, and where the shirt may or jersey may have just bloused out.
Yeah,
but
him and Debo got. I hope they got AI'd.
Debo's always been
Debo's
and
been
it's
thick
fine.
boy forever.
I mean, we had thick boy Debo in Washington, and he still had
Never
effective.
forget Fat Keenan Allen season.
Oh yeah,
too.
he dominated.
Well, let's just say this. It's a really tough thing in the AI world because you know what people are doing? It's funny if you're like, hey, let's make Victor Wembanyama 30 feet tall. I could tell that's AI.
Right.
But now they're doing this thing where
Just
it's like,
a
make
little.
the legs a little bit longer.
Uh-huh.
Just a little bit. So it looks just a little bit
Yeah.
weird.
Hey, give him 8 pounds.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Like,
That should be what's banned in AI. I don't care about all the rest. Just don't let people do subtle changes to appearance.
Just learn how to do a joke.
right.
Yeah, we did do that with one of our employees, though, huh?
Oh, we did. It was
we changed
so
his hairline
good.
just a little bit.
We got to
This
tell
story's
this story.
great.
This
Yeah.
is great. So
But that's the
Crap.
joke for that one.
yeah. So
we know how to tell jokes.
We play a bunch of games in the office. People are champions of that game and take unreasonable amounts of pride in winning these stupid little games. He had one. He printed a poster of himself.
A
and
large
we're talking
poster.
24 by 36
Oh, man.
framed poster
Someone should grab it and bring
above
it in here.
his desk.
Nah, leave it
No.
in.
And then he went on vacation. And he's a young man. He's the youngest man in this office. He's
very handsome man.
handsome, strong, virile, whatever a young person is. And
Doesn't have the best hairline.
the hairline, though, is going.
That's his issue.
That's
we all have our issues.
Yeah,
That's his.
It's his Achilles heel. And quite a heel.
Yeah.
It
was worse than mine.
We took the photo down. We scanned the photo. We moved his hairline back. We reprinted the photo and we hung it up above his desk.
To see how long until he would notice that his hairline is
Now-
worse, right above his head.
One of the problems was his name is Jake Pittner. And we changed his name to Jork Diddler.
Yeah.
And that really let him know that the poster was wrong, and that's where we went off. But Mike is just so ashamed that I shared that part. But the hairline, we subtly moved it, and he noticed. So listen, Travis Kelce and the AI dad bod or not. I mean, look, you're going to get one when you're entering the near 40 age range. He's 36.8 years old. We're going to talk about Travis Kelce, but he is my
Ice.
okay. Don't ruin my thing.
All right.
That sounds like you like ice. Travis Kelce, I know, Mike, you've talked more positively about him as kind of like maybe he's a great floor tight end.
Yes.
I'm very concerned on a number of levels. It's not surprising. I have him the lowest of the three of us by a lot. Mike's got him at 9, Jason at 11. I got him at 17. You know, I feel like part of the argument is the obvious stuff. Everything's going down in terms of the production, the snap percentage, the target share, the targets per route run, the receptions, the red zone targets. I mean, it has gone down significantly. I think the red zone targets is one to bring up specifically where like 26 down to 11. That's a big difference. So then you're like, is he just less valuable? Do they use him less? Is he losing a step? Well, the Chiefs are like, when they targeted the tight end position, Travis Kelce, 20th in yards per attempt, 22nd in pass success rate, 32nd in percentage of inaccurate targets. He's not where he used to be. That's the point. If you are 32nd in inaccurate target numbers.
The man's about to be 37.
Which I will forgive.
Holy crap. How is he that old?
I will forgive it if he's not playing football. You can be 37.
Yeah.
You just can't do it on a field and have success. And 41% of his routes at this point now are the old guy routes, the short stuff. You don't get the big plays that you used to get from Kelce. His fantasy points per game are in decline, 15, 11, 9, 9.1. I agree that there's a world where Travis Kelce is fine as a floor play tight end. But do you want – I mean, Jason, you've talked so much about the tight end position.
Yeah.
If you're not going for a big top 5 – I think it's a top 5. You know, Bowers, McBride, Loveland, Warren, Fannin.
Oh, you put Fannin in? Okay.
I put Fannin in.
That's fine.
You don't have to. 4.5, whatever.
You don't want to put last year's top 5 tight end Travis Kelce in there?
Well, I mean, it is a product of availability, not performance.
Yes, it is.
He has been out there. I just think it might be worth taking a shot at a high upside athletic tight end like Isaiah Likely in New York, Brenton Strange in the offense that we're going to love in Jacksonville. I mean, they could be a Super Bowl contender. I just find it to be like there's a world where you draft Kelce high enough to where you lock him in as your tight end, and he performs bad enough for you to be really not able to make the moves you need to make.
That's where I think I disagree, is where he's being drafted is not high. I mean, he's double-digit rounds. We've done mocks where he's undrafted. If he's not one of the top 12 that you're – when I draft, I'm either getting one of those top guys or I'm waiting till the very last pick. And there's been times where at that last pick, I'm basically waiting to see if I want Kelce or Kincaid. And I will say this, I usually go the other way. I'm trying to swing for the fences to have someone that is a higher upside. However, Kelce will be involved in the offense. Will get, if you're in especially a full PPR league, you should have a safe floor and it costs you nothing. The question is, could he score more around the goal line?
I was going to ask Mike, do you, outside of the availability argument and the 8 or 9 points a game, is there a world in your mind that Travis Kelce, a year older, is making a jump up? That's kind of the decision. Like above those top 5 names I gave you.
No.
Or
no.
Tucker Kraft.
No.
Or Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts, maybe.
Okay.
For all the what we're talking about here, last year Kyle Pitts, even with the greatest game that a fantasy tight end has ever given us, 9.8 points per game, and Travis Kelce was just over 9. Like, this is not a wide margin between the two, where Kyle Pitts could absolutely be, like, he still has a ceiling that we don't know if it's there or if it's not. It won't be there for Kelce. The upside play for him is he's so late in the draft, and the addition of Kenneth Walker makes this offense better. And you actually, when you get into the inside the 5. We used to get all those like the bowling ball throw to Travis Kelce because the defense actually had to worry about is the running back going to get the ball. So
yeah, Ken Walker makes it much better.
So that's where I'm not going to push back a ton and say like I love Travis Kelce or anything.
I'm really
like that.
curious about what third downs look like for the Chiefs this year, because to me the third down magic last year was Mahomes' legs.
Mm-hmm.
He would get out of situations and pick up a third down. If it's 3rd and 6, 7, and he's running down the field, spray him with water.
Oh,
I barely
spray him with water.
I'll get you next time.
Is Kelce going to be able to be open for those third down conversions? How do they do that without Mahomes' legs? So there you go. My ice, not a surprising one, but also one I think, to me, I'm aiming elsewhere. I'm going elsewhere. I'm going to not appropriate too much to the name and expect too much from him. Travis Kelce is the ice.
I like if you're talking about, the younger guys of like Isaiah Likely, Okonkwo, guys that they probably will not pan out, but they're at least at an age for football players that something good could happen that we're not really seeing yet.
All right, who's up next? The suspense is building, Jason.
All right, I'll go next. I'm going to go from a player who is in the double-digit rounds to a player who is very, very, very high in drafts, a player that we all love, and by we, I don't just mean the three of us. I mean the world. The player I loved coming out. I'm also, however, getting cold.
Oh.
Ice.
It's Devon Achane is my ice pick for 2026, and this is
I'm closer and closer to agreeing.
Look, it's
I feel
sad.
like you both are there, and I am unhappy.
So let me talk to you, Andy.
You think we're happy about these things?
You currently have him
know.
as your running back 4. I get it. He was awesome last year.
He
was
awesome.
so consistent. He had more than 11 fantasy points in every single game. There's only 4 running backs that have ever done that. Priest Holmes back in 2003, DeMarco Murray, Christian McCaffrey once, and last year's Devon Achane. So, and obviously the Dolphins were bad last year. So the argument is like, well, if the argument is that he's on a bad team, and well, he's still on a bad team. However, he's on a much worse team.
I mean, that's
So here is my argument. When I say he's on a much worse team, I'm saying how many total points are the Miami Dolphins going to score? Because without Waddle and without Tua and with no wide receiver weapons,
without Mike McDaniel.
Without Mike McDaniel, they are most likely going to score fewer points than last year. Now, if we look at the Vegas lines, they are projected for the 29th most total NFL points. That is really, really bad. If you look at the wins, they are projected for a grand total of 5.5 wins. No. It was at 4.5, Kyle? What is their projection?
3, 2,
Can I get a 2?
4.5.
4.5 wins. And so obviously we talk about we want players from at the running back position from good teams that win games. That doesn't mean they can't come from a bad team and be good, but where is he being drafted? Is he being drafted at a value or is he not? And right now he's being drafted at like the 1-2 turn. He is being drafted as a clear-cut RB1, very high. He's costing you a lot in fantasy, and very similar to how I had Ashton Genty as my bust pick last year. I look at the situation, I go, it's not going to return. You're going to make a mistake if you're taking him that high. It's going to work out poor for you. You have, first of all, over the last 2 years, he played with the quarterback that targeted the running back position more than any quarterback in the NFL. That is his superpower. A target is worth so much more than a carry for fantasy football. And those targets will certainly go down. Not only does he lose Tua, but he goes all the way to a quarterback that we don't know his tendencies because we haven't seen him much, but Malik Willis has wheels and might scramble instead of checking it down here or there. That makes sense. That sucks. But, can it work for a team that wins 4.5 games to have a running back really give you value at that 1-2 turn in fantasy football? How rare his ADP is crazy. Listen to this. Since 2014, there's only 3 running backs who were drafted in the top 3 rounds with a win total of 5.5 or fewer. Isaiah Crowell back in 2017, David Johnson in 2019, and this year, Devon Achane being drafted not just in the top 3, but a borderline first-round
What's his
pick.
ADP?
He's like 202 last I saw this morning. So
What running back is that? Because
I
know I'm above
running
I think it was
back
running back
6 or
8.
7.
Eight.
Okay, 8.
Here's a study, and this I think you'll like hearing. You won't like hearing this, but Brandon Gadula.
That's the opposite.
Yeah. I'm saying you need to hear this.
Okay,
I'm
that's
saying
different.
open your ears.
Here's this thing that you'll like.
Here's this thing that
You're not gonna like it.
it's like having your vegetables. You don't like it, but you really
Yeah.
need it, and
Yeah.
you need to hear this. Among running backs drafted in the first 3 rounds since 2014, only 27 were on teams projected for fewer than 7 wins. And remember, Achane's at 4.5. 30% of that group outperformed their ADP in terms of fantasy points per game. He has to be outrageously perfect, have crazy high touchdown.
The 44% of those fell shy of their expectation by at least 2 points per game.
Yeah,
2 PPR points.
So-
There's a weird thing going on this year. I'm trying to be very open-minded to this argument. I hate it because I think Devon Achane is in the Gibbs category of talent.
He's a great player.
And so we look at this, and I'm looking at the ADP and the top. Like, all right, Bijan's 7.5 wins for Atlanta. That's sub 500. It's not that same level. But then, like, the Raiders. The Raiders are going to be at 5.5, 6.5, depending on the book you're looking at. Dolphins are at the bottom of that list, but it's interesting because all 3 of those names are your top 7, top 8.
Yeah.
And so push is going to come to shove. I know you love Ashton Genty.
Yes.
And so it's hard for me to swallow Devon Achane going from the singular most consistent running back. So his ability, his special talent last year to me was overcoming how horrendous the Dolphins were. That was his gift. His gift was just somehow they're down by 1 million points. He still ends up with big performances. I hate doubting the talent of Devon Achane, and that's what it feels like you're doing.
Yeah,
All your
but
numbers
it's not what I'm doing.
Your numbers make sense, but you're playing the odds, not the player.
I am playing the odds, not the player. I think
and that's where we
odds are that Devon Achane is a very bad bet. If you want to pick him at where he's going currently, and hopefully after this show, maybe he gets down into that middle of the 3rd round. It's like, oof, that's a value. Well, scoop him up. It just feels like he's going to have to be.
And I know you agree, Mike, and I
incredibly-
hear what you're saying. It makes sense.
You have Mike McDaniel being gone is on. That's the biggest red flag for me. And then Malik Willis, we know, look, guys that scramble, you get fewer checkdowns. It does happen.
It's just to play slightly devil's advocate argument, just to get your response to this. We also know that the absence of weapons lends itself towards a heavier involvement. This is a guy that got paid huge amounts of money this offseason. The offense is Devon Achane. He came out yesterday and in training camp. He's focused on winning the rushing record for the season. I mean, that's the goal for him, is to be the rushing leader. So for me, that's one where I drew the line on talent over situation.
And that's the bet. When you take
Which I
him,
feel like we've done with Bijan for a number of years.
when you take him at ADP, that is 100% the bet. It's like, what does it look like? What does this offense look like when Achane is everything? And I know he was he's a focal point of the offense.
I admit that you have an argument there.
But it's like you still had Waddle last year, who is an elite player. And then ADP-wise, it's like, okay, right here, what I'm seeing right now, Barkley. He's right around where Achane is going. And then right after Achane is Hampton, Chase Brown, Kenneth Walker, Derrick Henry. All running backs that you will not be able to draft.
Yeah, I mean, I could see an argument for Walker over him, Hampton over him, Chase Brown over him. I don't see Saquon or Henry
You
over
don't?
him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, he will get the ball a lot. My issue is I think it'll be more on the ground. Here's what we know. We know that every second and long, they will mistakenly hand the ball to Achane because Bobby Slowick is there. That was so
third,
frustrating.
Yeah, I mean,
third and long is
I
going to
feel like-
absolutely rip.
I feel like part of this argument is you're building in idiocy by the Dolphins, because only an idiot would not give the ball to this man.
No,
more
I
than
think they
anybody
will
else
give
in the
it
league.
to the man, but more in carries than in targets. And a target is worth so much more in fantasy football.
What does he average? 6.1 a carry, something like that, man.
He's a great player.
What does he average per target and half point on
Why
top of
wouldn't
that?
they
I'm saying
who
fantasy
are they going
points.
to throw it to if it's not him?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
That's where
a
it's hard.
long
Yeah.
list of.
No, I told you it's going to be hard for me to
mediocre
swallow. I wanted to have the conversation, and the numbers are compelling. The numbers of your odds are not great. I'm not sure the ADP is too expensive or not. That's the hard part. But you bring up some names where, like, I'm getting really toasty about Ken Walker. You know, it's like, seems like he's going to be the Chiefs' offense. We have all these discussions around Rice and Cyrus Allen and Kelce.
Yeah.
It just feels like the Chiefs are going to be Ken Walker in the defense.
Achane is
So that's a tough one.
and then he's in this category of I don't know if I want him at his ADP.
Could be a lost year.
But
for
if he's
Miami.
on my opponent's team, I'm gonna be like,
All right, what you got, Mike?
all right. Well, speaking of Jaylen Waddle, we'll just get right to it. Fire, absolute fire. New Denver Broncos superstar Jaylen Waddle. Yes, I have a Jaylen Waddle problem, but I think we finally have a solution, guys. We got him over to Bo Nix and Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos. He's going right now about the back of the fourth, wide receiver 23, so a fringe wide receiver 2. And just remember what happened. So Jaylen Waddle, he's still in prime age. You know, he will be turning 28. We're okay with that. These are still some prime years for the wide receiver position. The Broncos traded a first, a future third, and fourth to go get Jaylen Waddle. They looked at what they had last year in terms of pass catchers and weapons, and Sean Payton and crew decided that this is not enough. You know, Bo Nix, Bo Nix threw the ball more than anyone in the NFL last year, and it doesn't feel like it because you didn't get the production, because you didn't have a true elite player. The superlatives coming from Sean Payton about Jaylen Waddle are already just top tier, saying he walks on water with his traits. Talk about the great speed.
Okay, Sean.
And it's just like, hey, perhaps a little blasphemous, but it's going to be good for your fantasy football team. Great speed and stop. So like that start-stop stuff, it's really important, and that's how Waddle can win. Last year, you know, in totality, it didn't fully work for Jaylen Waddle and crew, but on a per-route basis, look, man, still elite. You know, we're talking a player who is a 2.42 yards per route run, a 26% targets per route run. This is a guy that gets the ball because he demands the ball, because he gets open. Per Ryan Heath, over the last 4 years, Waddle was targeted on 29% of his routes and averaged 2.85 yards per route run when Tyreek Hill was not on the field. So this is a player that he can be a true number one. The beginning of Jaylen Waddle's career was he was banished to Siberia, a.k.a. the Miami Dolphins, only to give us a wide receiver 16 season as a rookie, then a wide receiver 7, and we thought, man, the wheels are absolutely up. But then they bring in Tyreek Hill, and it's understandable that Tyreek Hill is going to come in and take over and be the true wide receiver 1 on the team. But now he gets to be the wide receiver 1 for the Denver Broncos. Davis Webb, the new play caller for the Broncos, we will get low A dots. We will get screens to Jaylen Waddle, and I think he will absolutely succeed. Nix led the NFL in screen attempts over the last 2 years. If you're going to do them a bunch, you might as well go get yourself a player who can be elite and give you production with those things. So I'm very in on Jaylen Waddle being barely priced as a wide receiver 2. I think that he can. Yeah, I mean, we always want sure, known target volume. You know, when we're taking these players, Jay, we always like, man, I just want someone who's I need 150 targets.
Yeah,
and it's like Jaylen Waddle can 100% do that for you. So you know, I don't have extreme numbers for him, but I think he can get over 1,100 yards, around 6 touchdowns, and I think there's even a ceiling that I do not have projected into my numbers, and my numbers still put him way ahead of the market.
There's 2 things that get me a little hot and bothered for Waddle, because when the trade happened, I was like pretty much out on Waddle. I'm like, okay, he's coming to a team with Cortland Sutton that spreads the ball around. They have a great defense. They don't need to get in shootouts. So I was pretty out on Waddle, just like, hey, it's good for the Broncos. The more time has gone on, two things have happened. One, and I've mentioned this before, I went back and I watched the tape on Bo Nix again, especially all of his deep shots, and it just was a screaming need. He didn't have a weapon to utilize how he wants to play ball. And then you combine that with the fact that, well, they saw that. They went out and got him. But recently, you talk about what Sean Payton has said and, cute little sound bites like he walks on water.
Right.
But I saw an interview yesterday with Sean Payton where he was genuinely talking to these people about, you have no idea how much we're going to use Jaylen Waddle. It was like, you can use him long, you can use him short,
Yes.
I can move him in the slot, I can move him out wide. And he talked about fantasy football. Specifically, he said, it's easier to project.
Use them in the rain.
It's easier to project a running back or a tight end because you can manufacture those touches. It's hard with a wide receiver because you don't know where the ball's going. And then he's like, but not with Waddle. Like we are going to be getting Waddle the ball a ton. And so that's made me update my belief in the target share. I still don't think this is an offense that's going to be in the top 10 in total points. Not that they couldn't be, but because of their defense. I don't think they will actually end up there. However, I do think that the slice of pie Waddle gets from this offense is far larger than I thought early this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, Peyton always gives me a little bit. I like the pick. I like Waddle. He's moved up in my rankings. I like the idea that this is a superstar that we finally have where all the other receivers sort of blend together, don't they? They kind of blend into this.
Yeah.
You just have wide receivers. That's what you have with Mims and Pat Bryant and Sutton and Franklin.
Hey,
and it just
thank you.
I know.
So that's the Jason likes Franklin. I like Pat Bryant, but it's like they have been searching. They've been searching and not finding.
Because like Waddle's best season was in 2022.
Yes.
And we're a few years away from that. Like will you be happy with 10.1 fantasy points per game in Denver? Probably not. For Jaylen Waddle.
No, I don't think so.
And I was trying to look up where that would put him as a wide receiver. That's where he was last year. Obviously, it seems like he's more hurt than his numbers say.
Yeah, that part is true.
It looks like he plays about 15, 16 games, but he only plays like half of them. But no, I like the pick. I think he needs to come up in my rankings. I like all the comments from Peyton about high expectations. He said, I don't follow fantasy football, but shoot, I'd try to have him. I think he's going to do well. But I also think that Sean Payton is kind of he's one of the least predictable head coaches because he's willing to throw the ball to anybody anytime, hand the ball to anybody anytime. That would be the back of my head fear.
Remember back in the day, though, when Michael Thomas was part of the Sean Payton system, and they had that guy who could win on both areas of the field. And it
that's
was
what
just
the hope is.
Get him the ball every play.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back with 3 more picks. All right, Ice and Fire continues. I'm not going to leave you in suspense here. My fire pick is Emeka Egbuka.
Fire.
Woo! Yes! I love it.
Emeka
Egbuka.
Let me get you there.
Emeka Egbuka.
I'd be so sick if it was on the back of his jersey. We have spent a lot of time this offseason talking about Egbuka, about the end of the season and the bad scars and taste in your mouth because he was so terrible at the end of the year. If you want to know part of that equation, it was the fact that 27% of his targets were inaccurate at the end of the year. That's the worst of any player in the National Football League. So do we hold Egbuka to be the only one to blame for that? I think if your targets are inaccurate, they're harder to catch. That's my analysis of the situation.
I'm not a professional.
Right.
But that sounds pretty good.
Did you ever catch any of my targets in flag football when they weren't near you?
No.
No. See, that's where my market research was.
The uncatchable targets are very difficult to catch.
Right. Nearly.
Almost.
Because of the
Yeah.
So he had 127 targets last year. Only 81 of those targets were catchable. So he was heavily targeted. We had so much excitement over the first half of the year. This is the second most fantasy points scored ever to start a career by a wide receiver. So everybody got on board. Everybody's excited for the Hall of Fame career commencing. And then we got a really, really bad end of the season. Reasons being he hurt his hamstring in week 6. That lingered. Mike Evans got knocked out. He got moved to the X position. which was tougher for him to execute on. I think that's what went into some of the uncatchable targets. And then we know that Baker Mayfield was absolutely damaged.
Mm-hmm.
Injury was the right word for Baker Mayfield, a couple of them. This offseason, you're going to see Emeka Egbuka, with the absence of Mike Evans, blossom into the do-everything wide receiver that this team needs. I think they have a top-tier quarterback in Baker Mayfield. His skill set, he's going to be the Z receiver. He's lining up off the line. He's being moved all over the place. Zach Robinson is coming in. Last year, like I said, lined up at the X for the majority of the snaps. He is much more versatile. You're going to have Chris Godwin in the slot. You're going to have McMillan and Ted Hurst at the X spot. And then Egbuka is going to be your go-to player all over the field. And so I'm just so excited for the upside and potential for Egbuka to really solidify himself as a top 12 receiver all year long.
Yep, not impossible.
We've seen enough from him in those games to see what kind of a route runner he is. He understands everything about this offense. He knows how to track the ball. I'm just very, very excited for the future of Emeka Egbuka. And I think you do inherit in fantasy. One of the reasons I pivoted to him, I was thinking about going A.J. Brown here. I like A.J. Brown in New England, but I wanted to go with Egbuka because I think you have a little bit of a discount here. You have a discount, and it's the, I don't know what he is discount. And so I think you should draw your conclusions from half a year of being one of the most successful rookies in the history of the game. That's a tremendously difficult thing to do. You'll listen to this show the last 12 years. Most of the time we say, hey, watch out for the second half of the year for rookie wide receivers to get acclimated. This is what took place for a lot of players.
What we meant for Egbuka was, though, watch out.
Right. In this situation,
it's going to get you.
Watch out for the second half of the year. You're going to start him a bunch of times that you wish you hadn't. But I don't think this guy stopped being a talented wide receiver. Everything from camp, healthy Baker. I'm really in on Egbuka. I think this is an opportunity, being drafted as the wide receiver 19, where you have top 7 potential for Emeka Egbuka this year. So I want to jump back on that bandwagon, forgive the second half, and expect big things from an offense I actually like. I mean, the offensive line's going to be a little bit better. Bucky Irving's going to be back. Play action. I think Egbuka could come out and be a dominator to start the year.
I'm trying to remember where he was being drafted last year. I don't think we're that far off. Where you weren't sure. You knew he was a first round in the pedigree and all that. He was, I think, like a 6th round pick, and now you have at least some proof of concept. He could be that player we thought he was, and he's still going in the 4th. I like the ADP.
It just seems like I don't think that ADP is going to change much.
It shouldn't. And
what was it? The first half of the year last year, this was up over 15 fantasy points a game.
Yeah, and the changes that happened mid-season with the injuries around him shifted him around. He's coming in this year being placed in the role that he is supposed to be playing, that they drafted him to play, and that he was really special. We all love the talent. I think we all forgive the injuries and expect the offense to be much better. And you mentioned it, Andy, but I think it bears mentioning again. The offensive line for the Buccaneers are one of the fantasy storylines that really needs to be thought of more, because this is a good NFL offensive line that had so many injuries last year that they were you only really look at the outliers. Middle of the pack is whatever. This is a top offensive line that was a bottom offensive line, very similar to what we've been talking about with the Chargers. And so that changes things for a fantasy offense.
All right, Mike, why don't you go next, and Jason can round us out.
All right. You already got my fire pick. I think this is the one that has Andy a little bit flustered.
Ice.
My ice player for 2026 is Quinshon Judkins. What are you trying to do over there, Jay? You're just hitting a lot of buttons with getting no sound, huh?
Is he trying to cheer, or is he trying to boo?
I don't know. He's just, the people hate it. Well, that's all right. Like Jon Snow against the Horde,
does that mean
I
that
will.
Jason is booing it too, or is he just
He's booing me.
I am booing Mike.
He's
I think
booing
that I am much more on your side here, Andy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So
I haven't cried in a bunch of years, but I feel like crying right
and
now.
I assume a lot of your argument's going to be the arguments I made about Achane, but the ADP is the difference. So
They-
Go ahead, Mike.
they
Go
will
ahead.
be. They are pretty similar.
Bad team.
Bad team.
Bad quarterback.
But let's start with the actual player.
Oh, no.
This one's good. This one
you
is,
won't like these numbers.
Oh, fight.
I'm really fine with you not liking him because he's on the Browns. I'm not going to be fine with what you say next.
Well, these are just statistics, so you can get mad at that. Rush success rate. Where I'm going to start with that, and that sometimes it can get a little bit lost. Where you're like, what is that exactly? So rush success rate is based off of the down and distance. How many of the yards did the running back get? So whether a play gains at least 40% of the yards required on first down, 60% of the yards on second down, and then, of course, you need all the yards on third or fourth down. And this is why we say, yards per carry, it's not everything. Things happen. You get a bunch of carries inside.
It's also historically not a valuable metric to look at for rookies.
Right. Sometimes you're inside the 5 and you get some carries, and it's like, oh, my yards per carry was down a little bit there. But here's the thing. Rush success rate is, this is based off of the flow of the game. So, if, you like I said, 40% of the yards on first down. If you look at rush success rate, out of 55 running backs, you got it?
55! Is that the number?
Judkins ranked 55th.
You think this man cares about rush success? He's trying to survive in Cleveland. This is the open plains, Mike. This is survival.
It's bad. To not be to have truly a lack of success on your carries. You'll get a big one every once in a while, and you'll score some touchdowns. But we're talking about overall efficiency. You're absolutely just killing the offense. You can have players with a low yards per carry, so Emmanuel Wilson, under 4, but a 58% rush success. Bashal Tutin, 3.7. That's real bad, but a 58% rush success. Even the much maligned Zach Charbonnet, where we're like, why do they keep putting in Charbs? 48%. And here's Quinshon Judkins at the very bottom at 41% of the time he's having what you would call a successful rush. As a receiver, 33%. Only Devin Singletary was worse among qualified rookie running backs over the last decade. Efficiency-wise, he was lacking as the rookie, and I just don't see it changing for them. The Cleveland Browns was shockingly to me. The Cleveland Browns are a 6.5 win total team, which is somehow better than the Miami Dolphins.
Significantly better.
They are 30th in average. The Cleveland Browns are 30th in average implied total, as in terms of the total points that will be scored in their games. Cleveland is favored in only 2 games this year, and none after their Week 11 bye. And the offensive line, in consensus offensive line rankings around everywhere, Cleveland is dead last in terms of what people are expecting from this offensive line.
There was a point in your adoration for Kenneth Walker in which there were a lot of these numbers for you, but you believed in the player. And I admit it's going to be tough sledding for that offense. I think the Browns are going to be a better team than people expect. Losing Myles Garrett.
That's in the defense.
But
last year's the defense can keep you in games.
The defense was number 8 last year in fantasy points.
They will
scored.
not be number 8.
They will still be a very good defense. They intercepted a lot of passes. They caused a lot of forced fumbles. I know Myles Garrett dominates a lot.
So much
they didn't
that
get
is Myles.
nobody back for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you
yes.
get Quinn coming in, and I think that
Yes.
they're going to be a better team than people expect. I do.
Well,
That part Jason will disagree with me
I think
on.
they will
but
be.
every year you get surprised by some teams that
I
are
think
supposed
they will
to be
be
basement dwellers.
plenty bad. And here's
Plenty bad is
the
fair.
difference between Achane and Judkins. ADP, of course, risk being baked into cost, but Achane is an elite pass catcher.
It is nice to have.
Is Judkins an elite pass catcher? No.
No, they've talked about him being 3 down. Look, this is a belief in the talent of the player.
The
for me.
running back coach said he thinks he could be a 3-down running back.
I mean, it's better than him not saying that.
That's,
I mean,
Sure,
this
sure.
offense also has
Absolutely.
actual, if you look at what happened last year, there's no one to throw the ball to. Like adding Concepcion, adding Boston, having Fannin coming in here. They have some actual weapons. They actually have good players on this team. I'm
They
just
also
saying,
added
he's not going to be alone.
Spencer Fano tackle with the 9th pick overall. So that offensive line hopefully is better than it was last year, even if it's
this one just hurts my heart. That's all.
I totally get it.
I actually am more on Andy's side solely because I think he is a good player. A lot of those statistics and the yards per carry and stuff, I think if you go back and you watch the film, he was impressive. And if this offensive line is a little better, if Shedeur is better, and he should be in year 2, I'm not going to be shocked.
Where's his ADP? Let's just have that conversation.
He is in the 5th round, running back 22.
I mean, I'm all up in that.
Yeah, at that point, for a guy who can be a 3-down back.
I knew it would be a tough day, man.
If you look at
talked
last
to my
year,
therapist. I knew that what was going on today.
Last year, his rookie season, Quinshon Judkins, he got injured early in camp, didn't play week 1, got worked back in a little bit in week 2. From that point until the game where he got unfortunately injured, he was playing a workhorse role. He was on pace for 300 rushing attempts, and yes, it was inefficient, but over 1,000 rushing yards as a rookie.
I mean, if he's being drafted at running back 22 and you have him as ice, you probably have him below his ADP.
I do.
So then we can bet like a top 24 running back. That should be easy enough.
I mean, you're happy if you get a top 24 out of Quinshon Judkins, who's being drafted as running back 22? Let's go where my mark is right now, 28.
I'm confused now.
That seems even better for
No,
Andy.
no, I did it backwards.
Yeah.
You did.
All right, fine, go top 24. I did it backwards.
I should have.
Water
Look,
bet.
this is where
Jason would have taken that bet.
Yeah.
I saw it right
Here's-
away. I was like,
Here's
you
where
should've
my
gone
mind is
deal.
at. Here's
I know.
where my mind is at because Ryan Heath gets another
I would have
shout
given
out.
you top 20.
Ryan Heath, another shout out to him because we love Todd Monken's offenses. Absolutely. They produce fantasy points for us. In Todd Monken offenses, though, a different player has led in rush attempts per game and targets per game.
Yeah, they have capable pass catchers that aren't Quinshon Judkins like Dylan Sampson.
And one of the wild ones about this is, Doug Martin, all the unfortunate stuff with Doug Martin, but as a player,
R.I.P.
yeah. In 2016, Doug Martin was averaging 16 rushing attempts per game, and Charles Sims led the running back position at 4.6 targets per game. Doug Martin had a season of 70 targets. This wasn't like he couldn't do it. They just changed. And then you've had Martin and Sims, Peyton Barber and Jacquizz Rodgers, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, and then, of course, Derrick Henry and Justice Hill. This is a team that's going to be losing a bunch of games. And Dylan Sampson.
You like Javonte more than him? I'm just thinking of
I do.
Like, there's a handful of guys that are probably in the not catching a ton of passes category. I was just curious where you might slot him.
So it's like if they are losing, Sampson's probably going to be on the field. And Sampson he was a better pass catcher than
I think you're right.
than he was
I think
last
you're
year.
right.
So that there's just so many problems of how many touchdown opportunities, losing games, those types of things. And then opportunity cost, the way I look at it right now, running backs going right behind Judkins. David Montgomery.
I'll take Judkins every day.
I'll take Judkins there. That's okay. But then it's Tootin, DeAndre Swift, and Jadarian Price, all going after Quinshon Judkins.
You would take Price over Judkins?
I think, yeah.
I mean, that's one I would easily go Judkins.
No, I'll take
What
Price.
about you, Jay?
And hope because the Seahawks
I think I would
are gonna
go
be good.
Judkins in most of those situations. I like the player, I like the talent, and it doesn't cost much.
Yeah, you do get discounts when they play for the Browns.
Yeah, well, let's talk. Let's heat it
it's
up
time
in
to-
here and
it's
talk
time
about
to
someone that I
move
think
on.
we all like. A dog, absolute dog.
Fire.
Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren.
Woof.
Yeah, I mean some of these tight ends out there, they don't got that dog in them, but Tyler Warren is a yak master, a yards after catch machine. He breaks tackles. He's a first read in their offense. Coming into year 2, I believe he's the centerpiece of the Colts offense. It's Jonathan Taylor as in the running game, but in the passing game, right now the hotness is not Tyler Warren, it's Colston Loveland. It's the other year 2 tight end. However, statistically, the better rookie season was Tyler Warren. I know Loveland got off to a slow start and had the playoffs that looked great, but Tyler Warren was awesome, especially when he had Daniel Jones. And now coming into early in the offseason, it seemed like, well, we're not sure if Daniel Jones will be ready for week 1, if he'll start the season on the pup. Daniel Jones is full go 11 on 11 from day 1 of training camp. And while he might not be as mobile and running for his own fantasy value as a passer, Daniel Jones for this offense, like Tyler Warren, should be even used more. There's all the arguments of, Andy is very in love with Alec Pierce because you have a lot of missing targets from Michael Pittman. I like Josh Downs.
And a lot of dollars.
But Tyler Warren is better than those guys. The argument over on the for the Bears is like, well, is it Luther Burden? Is it Rome? And it's probably Mr. Loveland. But I think if I'm competing with targets, Loveland and Rome is greater sign than Josh Downs and Alec Pierce. I mean,
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you have less competition, and this is playing for a team in Shane Steichen who designs plays for players. Daniel Jones threw to his first read 77% of the
other
time.
Coaches do.
Well, I'm saying that my point is
I know what you mean.
First
You're
read
saying,
target,
you're saying
the plays.
He's going to build stuff specific to Tyler Warren.
Yes.
It just sounded funny, like the other guys are drawing up plays for fans.
I'm saying like specifically for a single player. Like this play design is to go to only this guy, which you saw. I mean, by far the highest first read targets was Daniel Jones last year. And if you look at those games with Daniel Jones and the splits with Tyler Warren, up until week 13 of his rookie season, he was the tight end 3 in fantasy football. He was great. He was 10.7 a game at tight end as a rookie.
We were at the point where we were like, we're going to do it again. Like 3 straight years of
the number one.
Because we had Laporta, Bowers.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, Warren might be number 1, which I think that's the biggest question for people on your fire pick is, can Warren be number 1?
I think
the year, because I think that
so I believe
that says something.
I believe Warren can be in the mix for number 1. The reason I maybe don't think he could be number 1 is not anything to do with Warren. It's Brock Bowers. I think Brock Bowers is going nuclear this year, and no one will be able to catch him. And it'll be a difference maker of like Travis Kelce of old, where he's 4 points ahead of next. But I think Tyler Warren can be number 2. I think Tyler Warren can go out and get 150 targets, and there's very few tight ends in the league. You're talking about Bowers. You're talking about McBride. And I think Tyler Warren is in that realm of like the leader of the offense could be Tyler Warren. Last year, he was one of only 4 rookie tight ends with 70 catches and 800 yards. That was Bowers, Laporta, and Jeremy Shockey back in the day. And the end of the season was so bad because he's playing with Phillip Rivers, Grandpa Rivers, and the collapse of the Colts that we're not hot and bothered. The way that when the Bears go into the playoffs and all of a sudden you see the continued trajectory of Loveland, now everyone's like, oh, Loveland. So to me, Tyler Warren, who's being drafted last in this elite tier, he is the cheapest. You can grab a first-round pick, a second-round pick, a third-round pick.
So he's your target in all those drafts because you just take the lowest.
I love grabbing him. I think he will be fire for fantasy this year.
I don't disagree.
What's going on back there? Are we doing good, Al?
We're good.
Yeah?
I was just chuckling at Jason saying I love grabbing him. The way,
so we're children.
Yes.
We're children.
I am a child.
The people hate children.
See, every once in a while, I mean, I see you
when Jeremy
smirking.
gets the giggles, it's almost always
something like that.
Inappropriate joke.
I just wanted to make sure I was doing everything right over here.
You're doing
clearly
a great
I was
job.
doing fine.
Yeah.
No more throwing to the deucers.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, it hasn't worked out. All right, top 10 quarterback rankings, favorite late round picks coming up on tomorrow's show. Wednesday, we got tight end rankings. Thursday, mock draft. A lot coming this week. Again, make sure you click subscribe. Follow the show. We're over on X at the FF Ballers, Instagram.com/fantasyfootballers.
Do it.
As Jason said, do it.
Do it.
We'll catch you next time.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers.